afternoon or good morning or good night, wherever you're located in the world. I am Scot Ferrell. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I know I'm a little late, about 3 minutes late today. Technology, not my deal. It's funny. I will start doing the same thing every week with my technology. And for some reason, it doesn't want to do the same thing every week. So my apologies. All right. As you can tell, there's some streaming here on the front. My topic today is stop dating the wrong person. Why in the world would I pick that topic right now? There's so many things to talk about in the world today. Well, the number one thing I see on social media and some of the biggest questions I get when I'm out at shopping, when I'm at the grocery store or whatever are, how do I find the right mate? How do I stop dating the wrong people? And how do I get the right people? And a lot of it's women. Dudes don't normally come up and go, hey, man, how can I find my dream girl? That's normally high school guys. But ladies do ask me, why am I dating the wrong guy? How do I stop dating the wrong guy? How do I find the right guy? And how do I clean all this mess up? So I scribbled out some stuff today. Now, I normally do these in sequential order of importance. I don't want to do that today because I hate to be taken for granted. So I'm going to do these just random, but I want you to write these down. So if this describes your life, if you're dating the wrong people repeatedly, and it ends in disaster or heartache or whatever it is. And if you want to find the right person and you want to be in love and you want an everlasting relationship, write these things down. If you don't write them down, you can't remember them. All right. So let's get into this because I've already used up 3 minutes of my time. All right. Number one, no sequential order, not an importance. It's just number one. Stop posting negative things on social media. Why would I say that? It's like a hamburger place. Let's say I own a hamburger stand, and constantly on the board outside where my lights are and the name of my restaurant, I insult my customers. So I'll say people that eat hamburgers are stupid. People that eat hamburgers get fat. People that eat hamburgers are idiots. See what I'm saying? So if you keep posting negative things on social media, and when I say negative, I mean negative things about the other gender. Let's say I'm a lady, and I've been hurt in numerous relationships by men. So I start posting negative things about men on my social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, whatever else is out there. And it's constant. Every day I've got some new thing I post that's a derogatory statement towards the other gender. And I wrote down some of the quotes here on paper. It's the ultra, and I'm going to use it. Yeah, I'm going to use it, but it's some of my friends that say it. The ultra feminazi quotes about all men are bad. All the quotes out there, women can do this, women are just as good. No, we're all different. Our genders are different and they're supposed to be different. Stop posting that stuff. And then I like the X comments. People like to condemn their ex on social media for the whole world to see. If you've ever heard me talk, if you've ever seen me in public, if you've heard me on the radio, if you've seen me do TV interviews, I never say anything negative about my ex-wife. Why should I? She was a wonderful person. But even if she was horrid, I wouldn't sit and condemn her in public. It's really nobody's business. Now, I've been divorced. My first marriage ended over 25 years ago, and my ex-wife has been married to the same man for probably 23, and he's a wonderful guy. So why would I want to go on about that? And yeah, I've had some bad relationships, but it doesn't do me any good to go on social media and talk about those people. That's in the past. I got to leave the past there. I got to go forward. And then I like the next one. So we've got ultra whatever. We have talking about the X, and then we go into I don't need X. So even though people want to date, people want to fall in love, people want an everlasting relationship, they'll go on social media and talk about how they don't. Okay, which is it? Do you or don't you? I never did stuff like that. If I was single and wanted to date, I would say, okay, I want to date. Here's what I'm looking for. I would never say the opposite. Well, I don't need men or I didn't need women. I just want to do this. Well, if you do want to date, why would you tell everybody in the dating world, social media, that you don't want to date? I don't even know how many people Facebook have, much less Twitter. So 60 million people could see this. Now, they're not because of the algorithms, but let's say 60 million. Let's say 6,000. So you just told 6,000 people that you don't want to date, but you really do. You don't want to do this, but you really do. So which is it? Because again, it's just like in sales, retail sales. A confused mind won't buy. So people are seeing these posts daily, and they're thinking, well, that person's dateable, but they're not really because They've just told me about their ex. So if I end up being their ex, they're going to tell everybody in the world about me and say derogatory things about me on social media platforms. And then they're saying they want to date, but they don't. So if I want to date with them, who am I going on a date with? Are they going to want to be with me or are they not? So, all right, that's number one. So consider that, please. Think before you post something on social media. It's going to be there forever. So make sure you really want it out there. All right. Number two, it's not them, it's you. I normally have a copy of my book. I can show it to you. You can look it up on my website, or you can just type in Scot Ferrell. It's not them, it's you. It's a bestseller for a reason. It's not them, it's you. I wrote this for CEOs and senior VPs of businesses or one-off business owners because I wanted them to understand that their companies were successful or weren't successful because of them. So let's use me again as a good example. When I got divorced, I could either point my finger at my ex-wife or kind of go in the mirror and go, I was 99% of that divorce. So I had to go, it's me. What needs to change about me before I go to the next relationship and take the same baggage I had here into the next relationship? Because if this one ended because of me, all the other ones will end also because of me. So I had to sit down and go, okay, so I've told the story before, but it's worth noting. I called every single person that would still speak to me that I had dated. And apparently I was not that much fun to date. And this is in the 80s. This is not now. I've been with my wife almost 15 years. So I sat down with them. I took a piece of paper and I wrote down everything they said. It was quite painful because I was quite the jerk. It was good to hear because who else is going to give you honest feedback than an ex who hates your guts? I mean, it's free advice. But there were some of them were loving in the way they said it, that they didn't hold a grudge against me, but they wanted me to see what I did repetitively. And I knew if they were telling it to me, it was true. So I had to go through that. So I wrote all of it down and fixed all that. So I wrote down all those pages, as I said, pages. And then I wrote out solutions. So I wrote out, I'm the problem. Here's the problem they defined. And then I wrote out how to fix it. All right. Then as a behavior person, as America's behavior expert, no, I didn't give myself that nickname. Actually, Bill O'Reilly's ex-producer gave me one nickname, Dr. Phil meets Pearl Jam. I don't remember I think one of the people in New York City gave me the other one. All right, so programming. Remember something. You are programmed. It's no different than your phone. Your mom and dad or whoever raised you, 0 to 7, everything that was attached to your surroundings or your environment was programmed into you. I'm 55 years old now. So I will sit and go, wow, I just said that, or I've become my parents, or I'm eating dinner at 4. It's a pattern that was instilled in me as a child. So I've gotten over most of my programming issues. Naturally, that's what I teach people. But you're reacting to situations based on your programming. So if you see how your mom and dad reacted, you're going to react the same way because it's programmed into you. People say, I got my temper from my mother and my father. No, it's not genetics. It's a repetitive action that you saw put in place, and now you replicate that action. So if you know that programming is an issue, here's an exercise I have with people. I say, write down every negative tendency your grandma, grandpa had, aunt and uncle, whoever was around you, mom and dad, write them down. Chances are you're going to display those behaviors when you're under stress or on daily life. It doesn't always have to be stressful. And then write out a solution to that. Because remember, if you're programmed to react to things, you're going to react through the program, not through what you think you're doing. Make sense? Okay. And then we add in with the programming. I'm having to go fast today. This is a weekend seminar in itself, just programming. I like to take, good grief, half a day just to cover programming. Now I have 30 minutes for Facebook Live. So I'm having to go through these quickly. You can always get the book. It's not them, it's you. You can get it off my website, scotferrell.com, or you can get it from all the other book outlets. Doesn't matter where you buy it. Daddy issues. One of the biggest things that I end up talking to people about is daddy issues. John Etheridge has a weekend retreat out in Colorado so guys can come together and talk about all the inconsistencies or what happened to them as men. I didn't get out of my childhood unscathed. My dad was Don Draper from Mad Men. I've told the story before. And my dad was nice enough to take me out and tell me that he saw nothing in me. He didn't really love me, didn't really want me. I got a free hamburger out of it, but he was very clear on how he felt about me. Now, before he died, he found Christ, and then he apologized and he told me he loved me, and we were able to work all that out. So that was great. But I still had to work out all the programming issues that went with that because I did not have the ability to receive love. I couldn't love other people. Plus, I'm on the spectrum. So that has its own variants of issues. But daddy issues. One of the Entourage used to be one of my favorite shows because it reminded me of a lot of people, and we were connected to some of the people associated. And they were always talking about finding girls with daddy issues. Girls with daddy issues don't have any self-esteem. And we talk about this all the time in the movies. And so she'll do what you want her to do because she wants to seek your approval. So think about this. We, men and women, most of us, not all, some people grow up in wonderful households. I didn't. I know several people that did. I just happen to not be that person. But we take with us daddy issues. And a lot of times people don't understand that your self-esteem a lot of times comes from dad. So my self-esteem, my discipline, who I am, what I'm good at, if that's coming from dad, what happens if my dad was not the guy I needed to place that into me? See where this is going. All right, I can't cover this very much longer because I got to get to the next stuff. But remember something. If you're the person in each relationship and every relationship seems to be bad, you might want to stop and go, is it me? Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. And you can sit down and figure this out ahead of schedule so you don't take the same things from every relationship to the next one. Remember, leave that in the past. If you know it's a problem, get rid of it. I describe how to get rid of this in the book. Now, remember, it's a business book that I wrote. Forbes wrote a really nice article about the book. So it's based on business. But the first few chapters teach you how to change who you are. So, okay, that's the book. All right, next. Hormones and electromagnetic fields. Now, one of my interests, one of the things that I do for fun is quantum physics. I like to watch videos. I like to read books. Now, yes, I have dyslexia, but I can read the gist of the book. And I like to study what the unseen world is like. So you got to remember, naked eye can only see about 10% of the physical world. There's 9 dimensions of time. You have to study what goes on in those dimensions or what goes on in the unseen. Hormones. Remember, when a human meets another human, it's not based on the visual part. It's based on our smell. We're no different than dogs. Now, I don't recommend sniffing people's crotches when you meet them. It can be a deterrent. But that's really how we do it. It's based on hormone exchange. We will smell a person. That's why you can go out somewhere and you can line up, let's say ladies are viewing 10 guys, and you line up 10 guys, and you've got 5 ladies to pick out a mate. Not every lady there will think every guy's attractive. They will pick out the one that matches their smell. Why is the smell so important? We're not made to mate with everyone. Remember, female and male are supposed to reproduce. That's how we stay populated on the planet and how the human race continues. So we base everything on our smell. That's why we don't always fight over the same person. We can go in and go, well, I like that one. Well, you like that one. It's based on smell. So once your hormones have agreed that you could reproduce together, now we know that we could date. Now, should you date every single person your smell matches? Absolutely not. That's not how we do it. But that's one stage. Now, let's look at electromagnetic fields. Electromagnetic fields. Now we have hormones. Now we know why we're attracted to people. But your electromagnetic field is what really goes out. So let's say you're a magnet. You are a human magnet. And let's say it goes out 15 feet in circumference from around you. Whatever you're thinking, feeling about yourself is be what you attract. This is why we get into trouble. It's why I used to do drug groups and alcohol groups and people with psych disorder groups in the Atlanta area. And we would talk about, there's a reason why we tell people, don't date people in rehab. Don't date people from group. Remember, they have the exact same problems you have. Don't date each other. And it never fails. Somebody thinks that this heroin addict's really good for this cocaine addict, or this nymphomaniac's really good with this guy with schizophrenia. And it never failed. They wouldn't listen. And then it ends up in heartbreak, and then they're mad at me. But it's electromagnetic field. So what will happen is you will attract what you feel about you. So if you have low self-esteem, if you have daddy issues, if you have programming issues, if you've got hatred in your heart, if you think all men cheat or all women cheat or all men lie or all women lie, that's what you will attract. So let's give a real clear scenario. Let's say that I'm a female, and this is what I see on Facebook a lot. All men cheat and lie. So you've just said all men cheat and lie. You feel that way, and you have very low self-esteem because that's who you always date. Who do you think you're going to attract? Exactly, yes. You're going to attract men that only cheat and lie. See where this goes? That's why you got to change you, because until you change your electromagnetic field, the only thing you can bring into your field to date is that. So let's change the scenario. Let's look at me. I never blamed ladies for bad relationships. I always assumed it was me. I used to be a drug addict. I was a drunk. I was a jerk. I mean, I can fill out a long list of how bad I was. But I always seem to date people who are sweet, wonderful, and nice. And that's been my whole life. I never assumed that that gender was out to get me. I assumed that I was the problem. I assumed that if the relationship ended, again, it was my fault. And so the person to fix was me. So I never projected out anything other than women are sweet, women are loving, women are kind, and I always got exactly how I felt about the other gender. So my whole life, for the most part, I got wonderful people to date. I'm still friends with probably every person I dated in the last, except for one, the last 30 years. I still help them with their lives. So it's wonderful having people still care about me and me care about them. All right, enough about that. Let me get to the next one. All right, number 4, because I only got about 10 minutes left. Number 4, speech. Remember something in the quantum physics world, in the physics world, whatever you speak has to come true in the natural. What do I mean by the natural? Your eyes can see it. Remember, in the quantum realm, things are so small you can't see them, but in the natural, you can. Look at Aladdin. There's a reason why, well, Disney put 3 wishes, because the original story is endless wishes. You rub the lamp, you state the wish. Well, it's hard to make a movie with endless wishes. You just can't run that tape forever. So it was 3 wishes. He got 3 wishes, and then it was the end of the movie. Whatever you say in the Bible, again, so what is it? Psalm 18:21. Power, life, and death's in the tongue. There's a reason why we talk so much about speech in the Bible. I'm a pastor, but it's true. Whatever you say has to come true. So let's look at who you are. Are you a negative person or a positive person? Do you tend to say things that are negative all the time or positive? Again, if I want to know who you are behaviorally, all I have to do is go to your social media accounts, and I can tell really quickly how you see the world, how you feel about the world, what translates. Now, here's what people think. And let me use prayer as a thing. Let's say that I'm talking to God and I'm asking God for a specific thing. So he and I are straight on what I want. So I've ended my conversation with God, I think, but then I go get in the car and I go, that's never going to happen. God's never going to grant me this wish. There's no way I can get this. It's an impossibility. You've just canceled out the conversation you had with God because you just went out to your car and you stated that can never happen. Keep this in mind, because everything has to happen verbally. We have to speak things into existence. There is no end to the conversation. It's no different that if I did this broadcast and I cut the screen off, but I left the audio on, could you hear what my wife and I talk about for the rest of the day? Well, absolutely, because we think the broadcast has ended, but it hasn't. Only turn the screen off. So now you can hear everything I say. So you're going to act on what I say, right? So if a human being is going to act on what another human being says, what do you think the outside quantum world is going to do? Yeah, it's going to act on what you say. So if you say all women lie or all men lie, if you say all men cheat or all women cheat, if you say there aren't any good people out there to date, if you see where I'm going, you actually predetermining your failure, right? So what happens if you change that? You put on social media, today's a great day. I'm going to meet somebody spectacular. I teach people, this is what I teach people. I teach people to only say what they want to receive, since the rule is, from a quantum standpoint, I will receive everything that I say. Doesn't it make sense to only say what you want to receive? What will happen is, we'll go on. Let me put it this way. You're the sum total of all the people you hang around. And I tell people this all the time. Married women don't need to go hang out with divorced women. Why? Because if there's 5 divorced women and 1 married woman, and I've seen this happen so many times, the married woman will start to get a negative attitude about her loving husband, let's say. Seen it happen. And they end up divorced. Why? Because she ended up being the sum total of the electromagnetic fields of who she hung out with. That's why you only hang out with the people that want what you want in life. So if you want a great marriage, but you're single, who do you go hang out with? People that are happily married, that have all the ingredients that you want. You only go to what you want to. It's no different than learning an instrument. If you want to learn an instrument, let's say piano, you seek out the best piano teacher within driving distance, and you go study with that piano teacher till you've learned what you want to learn. Why would you not call the worst piano teacher to learn to play piano? Well, yeah, because you want to be proficient at it. So why would you hang around people that failed in relationships when you want a successful one? That doesn't make sense, does it? But we tend to do that. Now, I try to tell women all the time, whether a guy's divorced or happily married, when we get together, let's say that 5 guys went out to a sports bar, got wings, ball game. We don't talk about women a lot of times. Here's what we talk about: cars, because I grew up around the NASCAR guys. A lot of my friends are NASCAR. And so we talked about cars because we all like muscle cars. We talk about food because we like to eat. Talk about working out because I was a musclehead once and I wanted to be a bodybuilder, and the injuries kind of prevented that from me. And we talk about sports, and we talk about work. All guys normally talk about work. Well, we don't talk about women a lot of times. We talk about subjects we're interested in externally from dating. And a lot of times it's sports and our jobs. But women will get together, and I go out to places and I'll take a pad and paper and I'll just sit around people and I'll change positions in restaurants and I'll write down what I hear. And I'll get close to a woman's table and try to act like I'm not eavesdropping. And I'll write down what they say. Whether they're married or they're single, what do they talk about? Men and kids, but men. And most of the conversation is negative. I sat beside a table full of married women one night. I think it was like 7 ladies. I think it was like a Fridays or somewhere. Is Fridays still even open? And I wrote down what they said. And 90% of what they said about their husbands was all negative, even though these are stay-at-home moms. So I got a stay-at-home mom who doesn't have to work, whose husband makes plenty of money. Now, he works a lot of hours because he's got to make the plenty of money and he's got to take care of his family. But he would come home and he would love on the kids and her. I don't understand the negativity here. And then they wondered why their marriage was having problems. Again, you will get exactly what you speak. Stop throwing it out there. Stop hanging around the wrong people. Stop saying the wrong things. And understand, just because you're in your car alone, that conversation doesn't end. So you're really having a conversation with the universe physically from a quantum standpoint. You're really having a conversation with God. So, God, I really want this. No, I don't. God, I really want this. No, I don't. God, I really want this. No, I don't. And your angel just goes, I give up, man. I can't help this person. So stop doing it. Remember, only speak what you want. Only speak the desired outcome, period. All right, last one as I run out of time here. Stop making genders pay for your mistakes. Okay, remember something. All men or all women is a bad statement. Let's go back to me. I realized that if a relationship went bad, it was me. It wasn't women. I never blamed women for anybody who broke my heart. I blamed that one person or I blamed me. So there were 2 people. If I got a broken heart, there were 2 people connected to that, me and that girl. Outside of that, no one else had anything to do with this. So I never looked at women as bad. I never looked at women as things that would hurt me. I realized that I chose to date her. I chose to take what came with it, and I chose to get my heart broken, period. It had nothing to do with anyone else. Same thing here. A lot of posts on social media want a gender to pay for what happened to them. It goes back to the all or every. Do yourself a favor. The best gift you can ever give yourself is take the words all and every out of your vocabulary. All people were born, all people will die. Okay, I got you that. Every person will be born and see where I'm going with this? It doesn't apply in human life. Some people do, some people don't. Remember, if you're only going out with bad people, the problem is, I'm pointing a finger at you. I realized that if every relationship with a wonderful person went down in flames, it was me. Because if I'm dating nothing but wonderful women, the problem's still going to be me. Same thing here. Stop taking the gender baggage from one relationship to the next. I don't know how many times I'd gone on a date, and this was years ago, I forgot what going on a date was like, but I'd go on a date and the young lady would be sitting across from me and she would be bashing men incessantly for the 2 hours that we had dinner. And then I had one lady ask, well, why aren't we going out again? And I said, well, for the last 2 hours, all you've done is say bad things about my gender. And I know that eventually those bad things will bleed over to me and you'll start saying them about me, true or not, because you have a perception that men are bad because you've gone out with some bad men. It's not true at all. You have to remember genders are just genders. And then let me help you out with some numbers. Here in the US, I did a study. I was doing a show and writing a book, What Men Don't Get About Women, a few years back. And that book will actually be able to be released hopefully this year. Had a problem with the publisher, had to get my titles back. If you've ever written a book, you understand what I'm talking about. So I got the book back. Now I can republish, etc. So maybe this year, maybe 2021, I'll get it out. I interviewed over 3,000 women for that book, but I forgot what the point was making here, but it's stop. So write this down, Stop making a gender pay for mistakes. Oh, I remember numbers. In the United States, when I did my research, and it's changed since because there's more people, there were 156 million women in the US that were documented nationally. Not everybody fills out a census, and 155 million men. Let's say it was that close, something crazy. So are 155 million men to blame for the guy that broke your heart? Or are 156 million women to blame for you getting a broken heart? No, that's stupid. So remember, leave the gender issue there. It's a you issue and a them issue that you dated. So what's my advice here? So if you want to stop dating the wrong people, stop being the wrong person. Fix you first. So you first. Fix your programming issues first, because if you don't, you're going to have the exact same problems in every relationship that you've ever had. It's just not going to change. So the first person you got to blame is you. 2, only speak what you want. Stop speaking negativity. Remember, in the quantum world, what we can't see, it goes back to Hebrews 11. So read the whole chapter of Hebrews 11, especially Hebrews 1 through 3, because you have to speak the unseen. You have to bring the unseen into the seen. If that's a true statement, and Jesus quantified that for us, then it's true for you. So if you speak what you want continuously, and I do this with people all the time, and it's yet to not work. If people do what I tell them to do, I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, I'll never get married. There's not the right person. And then all of a sudden the right person shows up. If you'll do this, they'll come. Look at me. I took the time to write the 100 things I wanted in my next wife, knowing that if I wrote it down and I spoke it daily, she would show up. Well, she did. I'm married to her. So she had all 100. Actually, she exceeded the list, but she had the 100. And I only based my life on the 100 list. I didn't base it on what she looked like, how hot her body was, how hot I thought she'd be in bed. That didn't count. It had to be on the list. And if it was on the list and all the boxes checked, that's who I selected. And then I knew that God had put this person in my life. So regardless of how much we would argue or what we'd go through, I knew that this person would be my mate the rest of my life. It makes it so much easier when you go, all right, can't get away from each other, so we got to fix this. Knowing all those things made it easier. So when you have an argument, you know you got to fix that argument because you know you're with each other the rest of your lives. And I knew that God had picked her, and I knew she matched the list. So conversation was over at that point. Same thing here. Do yourself a favor. Write out the list of what you want. You can't have what you want till you write it down. Write every single thing and every single characteristic you want in that person. Now, look at yourself and go, would I date me? I had to go, I wouldn't date me. I'm a scuzzball. Not anymore, but I used to be. I said, well, I wouldn't date me for the following reasons. Or I had to change those reasons. If you want to be dateable and you want to find somebody absolutely wonderful, you go first. You be wonderful first. If you're wonderful, it'll be amazing what you can attract other wonderful people. I've always been able to attract wonderful people. So when I met my wife, it was not a shock that I found somebody else that was wonderful. So I hope this has helped. So let me go through them again. Stop social media negativity. Stop it. If you want somebody to go out with you, put something positive. Positive people attract other positive people that want to be loved. All right. It's not them, it's you. Remember, it is you. Stop being the problem. 3, hormones and electromagnetic fields matter. Just look this up on the internet. Speech. Every single thing, every single thing you say can and will be used against you or for you. There's a reason why the Miranda rights were stated that way. And last, stop making genders pay for your mistakes. It's not all, it's not every. Get rid of that from your vocabulary. Now, if this is something you have trouble with or you want my help with it, you can always go to my website. I think it's flashing down here. Show at scottferrell.com. How's that? Now, remember, Scott's with one T, and I'm not that other guy that's on ESPN. A lot of times people will see me out at a coffee shop or something, and they'll launch into this profanity-laced tirade, and then they'll stop and go, "You're not him." You're exactly right. He and I used to be in different radio stations. I was at this station, and he was across the street. I think it was right down the street. So people would confuse the two, even though my voice sounds nothing like his. If you don't know who I'm talking about, look it up. There's a guy who has a similar name who does similarly what I do, but he does hockey now, I think. So anyway, if you need my help, go to scottferrell.com or show at scottferrell.com. If you got a topic you want me to cover on these Facebook Lives, I'll be glad to. I don't always come up with every single topic that can be covered. I like input, so send me a topic if you got a question. I am known as America's behavior expert, so I somewhat know what I'm doing. Also, if you want the book, it's not them, it's you. You can go to my website, Amazon, any retail establishment that still sells books. You can order it online. If you want it signed for me, you got to buy it from me because they don't send them to me. So I'm sure I've got some copies here somewhere. I don't normally read my own books or look back at them after I'm done. So no different than most authors. All right. So thank you so much for being part of my day today. If you got any questions, remember, send them to me. I'll be glad to answer them. That's what I'm here for. I don't do these for anything other than helping people. I am a pastor, so my first job is to teach people. I got 3 jobs as a pastor: heal the sick, cast out devils, and preach the gospel. So today I'm kind of doing the gospel of not being single anymore and falling in love and finding somebody wonderful. All right. So that's the end of today. Thanks so much for being part of my day. Hey, man, I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at this time, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Probably won't change that. We'll leave it the way it is. Also, if you ever want to come by and see it at church, we do meet at the Gainesville Civic Center, 11 a.m. Sometimes we have donuts. Sometimes we don't. I always buy donuts for the kids because I love them. And I have 2 that I treat like granddaughters, so they get extra special treatment. But they like donuts, so Grandpa likes to buy them donuts. All right, take care.